A NetLogo simulation for cloud and storm formation shows several variables and visualizers. Variables shown include drop-down menus for initial water at surface and sliders for ground temperature and light absorption. Visualizers for water in the system and elevation versus air temp are blank.
You can edit the simulation at any time by clicking on this lock icon in the top left corner. This will change the mode from interactive to authoring. You can now drag elements that were in the interface to new locations, freeing up more space to add new input variables. Right-clicking in the white space will open up the menu to add additional user interface elements. The chooser element is one way I can add a new input variable. Let's select that and name the input variable first. I'll try to name this variable Cloud Condensation Nuclei. But when I press Enter or OK, I get an error. I gave it an invalid name for a variable. That's because it was actually 3 different words separated by spaces, which the computer interpreted to maybe be 3 different variables. To remedy that, I can use 3 different words to name a variable. I just have to attach them together with dashes or underscores to make it look like it's one word. I can't just give the name. I also have to give possible values or choices for the variable. Each choice needs to be in quotes. So within those quotes, I can use spaces because the entire set within the quotes is considered a string or a series of characters that I can type in from the keyboard. I've put 2 options in for values here, yes and no. I can move this widget to another location if I want, or delete it. Another user interface element I can select is called a switch. A switch is a variable that I name, in this case CCNs, ? That can only have 2 states or 2 possible values, on or off. A third possible user interface element you might want to use is called a slider. A slider allows you to, again, name a variable. It has to be connected by underscores or dashes if you use more than one word. Using a slider allows me to define a variable whose values are numbers. You can specify the maximum and minimum values for this variable, as well as a starting value. Let's look at another example where I could use any of those 3 user interface elements, but there might be trade-offs to which one I select. I'm going to add one that specifies the time of year.
The user creates a slider and changes the minimum value to 1 and the maximum to 12.
In this case, I might be thinking, all right, I want to pick the month of the year. But if I do month of the year, maybe I should rename this variable to simply say month. There's a trade-off. Longer variable names more clearly communicate what that variable represents, but they also take up more space in the user interface. 12 months of the year, that makes sense, but it's kind of hard for a person to remember which month goes with which number, so I'm getting rid of that. And I'm going to try it now as a chooser instead and specify the names of each month. And I could type those in as January, but I guess I could just do Jan, Feb, to keep going until I have all 12 months. Now that I think about it, though, do I really need months? I'm going to change this to seasons of the year, and then I only have to specify 4 possible values or choices. Now I have a variable in my system that a user can pick 4 different values from, and then when I run the simulation, I could decide how I want to use that variable to influence maybe different processes or mechanisms or interactions in the system, which then in turn may influence the type of outputs that the simulation produces.
The video ends.